Hi guys, Darth Deuces here, and today doing a action figure review on the Mezco 112 Collective Magneto figure. Another figure from the Mezco 112 Collective line, and as you guys know, I'm a huge fan of the Mezco 112 Collective line. It is currently my favorite high-end figure line. I really like them. This is my 9th figure in the line now, which I never expected to own as many as I do, and that's a small collection compared to people who really collect it, but for me, there's quite a few. And this was a figure I have been anticipating for a while, basically ever since Mezco announced this figure. I have been eagerly awaiting the release of this figure because Magneto is my favorite Marvel character. For those who do not know, Magneto is my favorite Marvel comics character, and I've been really wanting a good figure of the more, I guess, classic design. I did get the Marvel Legends 2018 Apocalypse Bathwave Magneto with the black and red suit, which is a pretty good figure. And they did release that Amazon, I think Amazon exclusive 3-pack with the new Marvel Legends Classic Magneto. It looks pretty good. And I was going to get that until the Mezco was announced, and then I decided to wait for this one to come out. And he's really good. I really like this figure. I'd say it's probably actually one of my favorite Mezco figures to pose and mess with. It's a really easy figure to mess with. It's fun to pose. Not too much issue there. There's a lot of great things that attribute to it being fun to pose. Not perfect by any means. I would not say this is the perfect Magneto figure, but if you like Mezco stuff, I'd definitely say it'd probably want to be one of the best Magneto figures you can get out there currently. So let's jump right into it with the figure. And as you can see, Magneto here is sporting a more classic look. But as per Mezco likes to take liberties and kind of put their own spin on the designs of these characters. And usually what it comes down to, it's just usually a modernization of the classic looks. Their Iron Man, a modernization of the classic Iron Man look, which I think looks really well. It works really well, sorry. And in Magneto's case here, it's basically the classic costume, but with a modern design take to it to make it look a little more interesting than just a simple outfit like the original one looked like, which I really like and appreciate. So one thing that's really cool is the head sculpt here. I really like head and helmet. I think obviously one of the most important things when it comes down to it is the head sculpt and the helmet sculpt. It's very important to get that right. Zooming in here a little bit. It's quite good. I like the expression, stern, somewhat angry look, which is appropriate for Magneto. I really like the helmet shape and design. I think it sits on the head really well. I think it looks really good. It hides enough of his face and head. Doesn't look too out of place. Looks like it's on his head naturally. I like the purple trimming on it. It's sculpted and painted really well. And then you also have the forehead crest, which is a bit more subtle on this design, but still looks really good. You also have these molded lines to give it a bit more of an ornate look, which I really like a lot. It looks really good. It also has a little bit of glossiness to it, not super glossy, but it's got a little bit of a shine to it, which I also appreciate. Then looking down, you do have the chest collar armor piece, which looks really good. You kind of got that resemblance of those bulbs that are on the original design, but they are more like just a design, not like raised in relief, and I like the design of it. It's a throwback to the original look while doing its own thing. I really do like that. And I like the color that they use, this dark purple. That's a little shimmery. Looks really cool. And looks really good on the back as well. One thing that's going to be big to talk about here, zooming back out a bit, is the cape. The cape is obviously soft good, and it's a relatively thin material, but it's a nice material. It's quality. But one cool thing is the cape is actually wired. If you're familiar with Mezco figures, most of the time they actually end up giving you that really weird wired contraption to put on their display bases to pose the cape, and it's not good. It's not fun to play around with. It's not fun to pose around. It's fiddly. It's not good. So I'm really happy they went with a wired cape for this figure. It makes posing and everything so much nicer, I will gotta say. how the wire works, it just goes at the base here and goes all the way down the length of it. I think there's also a little bit of wire like right here as well in the middle to help pose. Unfortunately, there's no wire on the bottom, which makes it flow down nicely, but it can make some poses not work out so well. It's not a huge thing, but it would have been nice for a wire to be along the bottom as well. The cool thing you can do with the cape that I really like is that you can, with using the wire, you can get it sort of draped over his shoulders, and you can also pull it back over his shoulders with basically no issue whatsoever. So I really like that a lot. And like I said, you can get good. I'm just going to do a really quick job here, nothing too crazy, but like I said, you can pose the cape and it looks pretty good. This is the awful pose. So, but as you can see, like I'm saying, because there's no wire on the bottom of the cape, this should be flaring out like this, but there's no wire, so it kind of hangs down. It's not the biggest deal in the world, deal breaker, but it is, I'd say, an issue. But you can get some cool things, I can try to pose this a little better so you can get a better feel of it. You can get it, maybe like standing, you can get it sort of, I'm not the best with, this is like one of the only figures where I actually have a good bendy wire cape, so I'm pretty out of practice and don't know how to pose capes very well, but you get the kind of idea there. So that's really fun to do, to play around with that. The rest of the body's nice. I'd say this is a figure that really does use the soft goods quite well. The soft goods mesh well with the plastic parts of the costume. The soft goods itself fits the body really nicely and relatively tightly, though in some places it's a little too tight. I hate to say it, but right around the crotch area, it's not really easy, not super noticeable. But if you crunch up his legs really close, he's got a bit of a camel toe going on, which is kind of weird, and I kind of hate calling it that, but it is what it is. But if you just spread the legs out just a little bit in more of a more natural stance pose, you barely notice it, so it's not really a big deal. It does like to bunch up in some of the joints and places, but again, not a huge deal. One thing I'll notice about the costume is that it's the main red, but they got this vinyl-y sort of material. It's for these like scribe marks on the suit to give it a bit more of a modern, more interesting look, which I really like. And then down here on the belt area, you got these purple and gray markings, which are similar to the material used for the black on the Deadpool figure. Although it's not quite as stiff and there's not nearly as much, it doesn't hinder articulation. He does have a free-flowing belt, which can shift up and down. And you can see on the arms here, the gauntlets closely resemble the classic design. They are just given sort of that modern, more detailed upgrade or design look, which I think looks really good. And the boots are the same way, and I think they look really nice. You got treads sculpted and peg-holes at the bottom of the feet. And it's overall a really nice looking figure. I really do like the look a lot. It's my preferred look for Magneto. Honestly, I love the modernized look of the classic suit. I think it looks really good. I think this would be a perfect look if they wanted to put him in the MCU or a future film. I think this would be a great look for him. But that's just me, of course. So in terms of articulation, it's a Mezco. It's well articulated. It's not crazy super articulated like maybe an SH Figure Arts or a Revoltech figure. But it's got all the good articulation to get a lot of great fluid, dynamic, and good expression poses. So you do have a ball joint there at the neck. You can look up a bit, look down a bit. You can pivot quite a bit to get a good amount of personality out of that and rotation. The shoulders move out a lot. They're not hindered by the cloth at all, and the cloth is pretty sturdy. I don't feel like it's going to just rip on you. It's got a lot of ply and stretch to it. You can also rotate. I would be careful. I would not rotate it over his shoulder. It does stretch out this quite a bit, but you can get it that high. That's pretty good, I'd say. You do get a swivel there at the bicep. There's also a very limited butterfly, which all Mezcos most usually have. They're pretty limited, but it is there. You get the hinge at the elbow, moves in pretty good, past 90. And you get the standard Mezco rotation as well as hinge there, so you can move the joint around. You can either get in and out or up and down, whatever you want to do. Torso joint's really nice. He arches back really well. Crunches forward a decent amount. pivot's decent, and you can twist hips, move out about that far without fear of like tearing. I wouldn't force it any further than this. Kicks forward good, kicks back decently. Rotation to a certain extent. You get the double hinge knees there, which just shy of kicking his own ass. Rotation at the boot. And then you get the Mezco joint at the ankle, where it goes up a decent amount, down a decent amount, and you get an alright pivot. I wouldn't say the pivot is fantastic. It could be a bit better, but it's not terrible. So you get some pretty good poses out of this guy, you know. It's not going to do a crazy... I'll give you a quick little taste of the posing you can do with them. And get the cape maybe posed up a bit. Well, that's not a very good job, but it is what it is. But you can kind of get the idea there. You put more effort into actually making the cape look good, you can get some really good poses. This is just really quick, but he's posable, you know. You can get most of the poses you're probably going to want out of this guy. Now let's talk about accessories, and I'd say this is the biggest downside to the figure is the accessories, and not the accessories it comes with. The accessories he comes with are really good for the most part. It's more or less, he does not come with enough accessories. Mezco is usually pretty good with accessories. They usually give you quite a few accessories, and a lot of accessories that sometimes they didn't even need to include. But this was one of the figures where it seems like they really sort of didn't give him a ton of stuff. And I don't know if that budget went into giving him a wired cape or what it was. But he doesn't come with a ton of stuff. But he does come with cool stuff. So first up, hand options, your basic stuff. You do have the two fists that are on his hands there. You get two of these sort of clenched open hands, if you know what I mean. They're kind of tense open hands. And you also get these really nice outstretched open gesturing hands for using his powers and stuff. Like all of them can be for using his powers, but I really like these wide open hands. They're quite, you know, the grand wave of using his magnetic abilities. Comes with an alternate head sculpt. You do get an unmasked head sculpt, which I think looks really good. I like the look of it. I like that they went with the more shorter hair look. I like that the hair isn't just a flat white. It's got some nice wash into it to make it look more of a grayish white, which I really like. Eyes look really good. Just overall looks really good. And plopping this new other head on is really easy. It goes on, comes off easily, but it is tight on there when it's on there. I really like how Mezco heads are interchangeable and how they work, and that looks really nice as well. Honestly, I'm really torn with how I want to display this guy, because I'm probably going to display him with the helmeted sculpt, I'm going to be honest. But this unhelmeted sculpt also looks fantastic. Actually, I'll keep that on there for now. And then he also comes with some effect parts, so you do get these two, one for each hand, effect parts. There are circles with some of his energy effects for using magnetic powers, and they also have 3 magnets in them. And then they are attached to hands. So these are pretty cool. I like how they use this to make it look like using his powers. Not a huge fan of how the magnets are just visible there. I guess you can kind of explain it away that these are some magnetic maybe plates or pieces that he's using his powers to hold over if you don't have anything attached to them, but they are functioning magnets. So if I go grab something real quick, so if I take something like nail clippers here, you attach that, and nail clippers, they're decently heavy, decently big, and these can hold it pretty well. There are 3 magnets there, depending where you put it, but it can hold that. So it can hold decently weighted stuff compared to the size of the figure, which is cool. And this would be a cool feature if you can find something magnet that is metal and can be used with magnets that would actually look appropriate to display with them. Obviously, it looks weird if you're going to display them holding giant nail clippers, but it's something you can do. And the hands are pretty easy to interchange. I'll just put one on here to show. I think they look good. I don't think they're anything too crazy, but I think they look good. There you go. It does come with one other hand. I don't want to break that. When you're pulling them off, don't pull just by this effect part because you're going to peel the hand off. Pull by the hand and the effect part. Just something for you to keep in mind there. But the other accessory comes with it, which is really cool, is this effect part, which is him using his magnetic effects, the hands on there, to disassemble a handgun. And that's really cool. You got the clip, the grip, all these different parts, the slider, the bullets, individual bullets, all look really good. And you can put that on his left hand there, or left arm, and put that on, and now you have him disassembling a gun. And that's really cool. That's a really cool accessory. I think a lot of people will be happy with this one. It looks great. But that's all he comes with. Aside from, oh yeah, don't want to forget, those come with a display base with your Mezco style stand. I really like these stands. They're really useful, really good looking. It is just a standard purple and red X. The pictures on the back of the box and the original prototype showed the stand actually having his helmet, icon of his helmet there. I think that would have been cooler. This is still fine, but I think that other one would have been cooler. It's also worth noting that before with the prototype and the prototype of the box and all that, this figure was actually shown with another helmeted head sculpt. I don't know, it probably had a different expression on it or something. I would have really liked one more head sculpt. Would have been really nice with probably him helmeted and maybe having his eyes whited out, maybe some energy crackling out to make it look like he's really using the powers and being more angry. That would have been a really cool head sculpt to include, so I kind of wish they didn't cut an extra head sculpt. I think he could maybe come with a couple of sets of more hands. I think he could come with some more effect parts, or maybe a magnetized piece of metal that would actually look proper, magnetized to the effects you do get. It's just some things that they could have included that they didn't. It's not a big deal. What he does come with is pretty cool, but it feels a little light on the accessories. If I straighten out his cape here real quick, just kind of bend it out of the way. I'll do a couple really quick comparisons here just to get a sense of the size. He is 6-inch scale. So here he is with just the Marvel Legends I grabbed. Unfortunately, I don't have any X-Men related figures on hand to show, but here he is with the MCU Mysterio. And Magneto's a little taller, and I think that makes sense. Magneto's a taller character than your average character, so I like that. I think that works out pretty good. And then with another Mezco, here he is with the Sovereign Knight Batman. And they're about the same height, so I think that works out pretty good. So overall, I think this is a really great figure. I think if you are a Mezco 112 collector, and I think if you are a big fan of their X-Men figures, because they've been doing a fair amount of them now, and you're like me, a big fan of Magneto, I think you'll really enjoy this figure. It's got a lot to love. The downsides do not outweigh the upsides, and I think it's worth the money, even though you don't get as much accessories as maybe some other releases. I think it's worth it. It's a fantastic looking figure, a great posing figure. And I really like it. Of course, I'm biased, but I really do like it. Could have been better, yes, but I think it's still a really, really good attempt, and it's one of my favorite Mezco figures regardless. There is a variant of this figure coming out at a later date. I don't know what date that'd be, but it's of his white Marvel Now costume, which has the more collared cape and a different style helmet and costume. So if that's more your speed, because Marvel Legends has not made a version of that figure yet, you could get the Mezco one if you want that look. I prefer this look. I'll wait to see if Marvel Legends ends up making that version, but would I recommend this over the Marvel Legends? Well, I don't have the Marvel Legends, so it's hard to make that comparison, but from what I've seen, if you want a strict, looks like it came out of the comic book, classic look Magneto, the Marvel Legends, and you want a cheaper figure that comes with other figures, the Marvel Legends one's the way to go, and that's still a really good figure if you want a classic Magneto. But if you want a Magneto that's going to pose a bit better, has a cloth cape that's going to pose a lot better, I think an overall really cool looking and bit better looking Magneto figure, and you got the money, I'd go with this one. Anyways, thank you guys for watching. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. I will see you all in the next video.